Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for standing by, and welcome to the LANSA Take Control of Your Business with LANSA ERP Frameworks. During the presentation, all participants will be in a listen-only mode. If any time in the conference you need to reach an operator, you can press a star followed by the 0. I would like now to turn the conference over to Mr. Bob Gleisner, Director of Professional Services. Please go ahead, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this presentation of the LANSA ERP Frameworks. My name is Bob Gleisner, and as he said, I am Director of Professional Services for LANSA Incorporated, and I'm located in our corporate headquarters in Downers Grove, Illinois. I'm glad you could take your time out to come join us for a little bit. So, first thing I would like to do is define what it is I will be presenting. Okay? The LANSA ERP Frameworks is a fully integrated suite of modules. It's designed to help you manage most every aspect of your business. The diagram that's up on your screen right now kind of identifies the modules and how they relate to each other. And when the modules are used together as a whole, it is a fully functional enterprise resource planning system that you can use to run your business as is. By that I mean load it on your system, populate it with data, and go ahead and start working with it. Or, since you get the source code, you can use it as a base to build a customized system to suit the specific needs of your business. Okay? With that in mind, let's take a look at what's going on in the ERP software market right now. Okay? There's a lot of uncertainty out there, you know, as is evidenced by the trade publications and many other emails and such things. There's a lot of consolidation going on. Larger companies are getting larger, smaller companies are getting purchased and absorbed into other companies. And with that, there's a lack of direction. I mean, some of these companies have acquired software systems that do the same thing. You know, so one company has 3 distribution systems. Like, which one are they going to focus on? You know, are you going to get the support that you need out of that? And on top of all of that, many of these packages and companies are struggling with modernization. What do you do? What direction do you take? You know, and there's just a lot of uncertainty with where they're headed. And of course, along with that comes a rise in prices for upgrades and maintenance fees and such things as that. Okay. So, you know, and internal companies, companies that have internal systems, much like yourselves, might be struggling with modernization as well. So it's not just the software companies, it's anyone who wants to move up to a Windows or web or some other sort of environment. In addition to that, you know, customers much like yourselves on some of the large or established ERP systems, getting sick of annual maintenance fees, dealing with difficult upgrades, and decreasing support and increasing costs, which just don't seem to make sense. Okay, many people like yourselves probably also know about the benefits of open source. However, generally people know that open source offerings are unlikely to ever fully solve your business problems. And then you have other questions. Does it contain the rich functionality that my company needs? Is it proven at other companies? What level of support am I going to get if I need it? Okay, so what we're talking about here is not just what LANSA ERP Frameworks is, but we're talking about the goal of taking control back. Okay, getting a software system in-house that you have control over, that you can adapt to meet your specific business challenges, competitive pressures, etc. when you need to. You know, your business changes. We all need to adapt. A software system that will allow you to keep up to date with technologies, and a big one on my list, a software system that will allow you to save thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars initially and over the life of the product. Let's delve into that one just a little bit. Okay, cost of ownership of a system. The base for that essentially is the initial software cost. And in that area, that's one place where I can guarantee that we are much lower than most everyone out there that has the functionality that our system has. Okay, so you start off with a much lower initial software cost. Then there are the modifications that you make. If you choose to, as most companies do, customize the software to suit the needs of your business, then you have modification costs. Now, in this diagram, I said, well, those could be equal. Now, my true feeling is that they're not, because with the LANSA tools, it's much easier to modify the system, as well as with a finely designed software system. It makes it easier. Okay. Okay, and then on top of that, you have ongoing developments. So even if you did more on ours because you can do more, we're still at a lower cost. However, it doesn't stop there. Okay, you have software maintenance fees, hardware upgrades, more software upgrades, and continued maintenance and upgrades. And that goes on for as long as you own any system, unless your business is so stagnant that you never need to change. And if that is, that's a different problem. Okay, what we feel we're offering here is a realistic alternative to the software packages that are out there. A solution that is at a much lower cost, has proven functionality, and we can provide the appropriate level of support to meet your needs. All right, one final note before I begin the demo portion of this is if you stay for the entire presentation, we have a few survey questions at the end. They'll probably take you 30 seconds to answer because they're just multiple choice. But if you answer the survey questions at the end, your name will be placed into a drawing for a LANSA gift bag that will be held at the end of the month. And we've rated the LANSA Prize Closet, and this bag includes a high-quality pad folio, a USB storage device, and a morph pen, which is made by Cross, a fantastic tool on its own. So don't forget to fill out the survey questions at the end, and good luck to everyone in the drawing. All right, refocusing back on the diagram we showed initially. You know, LANSA ERP Frameworks, there are 3 different colors of boxes on this diagram. There are these silver or gray ones at the bottom. Those are the financial or accounting modules, and hopefully they're what you'd expect. Accounts payable, accounts receivable, general ledger. Cash management is bank reconciliation, and then there's currency translation for those multi-currency situations. The purplish ones are the distribution modules, which include purchasing, receiving, ordering, shipping, billing, sales analysis, inventory management. Once again, the heart of any business that's dealing with product. And then finally, the yellow or gold ones are the manufacturing modules, which include bills of material, material planning, production control, and then of course, distribution and manufacturing are both closely linked to cost accounting. All right. Overall attributes that you need to know without going into specific functionality within a module is across the entire suite of modules, it will allow for multiple companies, multiple divisions, currencies, multiple plants, warehouses, and locations, and is also set up to allow for multilingual. So if you needed to appear in different languages in different environments, you can do that. And then across the modules again, it is very rich in functionality. All of the modules are extremely tightly integrated so that we reduce errors and decrease redundant keying and entry and such. It is very flexible. Every one of the modules is highly parameter driven, so you can tweak it and make customizations to the functionality and how things flow without actually making technical modifications or programming modifications, if you will, to the system. Also across the system, it allows for real-time updates, real-time inquiry and reporting, meaning you don't have to wait till the end of the month to see how you're doing. You can check it out at any point in time, every day if you like, depending on how detailed you are in your business. And finally, it's developed with the latest LANSA tools, which of course the base of LANSA is a central repository. So 90% of the rules in the system are in the central repository, which makes for very high data integrity in the system. Using the LANSA tools, it's easier to adapt to business changes faster. And of course, we make use of the latest technology within LANSA and across the business world, and that is the Windows environment, the web environment using web access modules, etc. And once again, I must stress, it is extremely affordable. Okay, before we get started in the demo, I'm going to open up a poll for just a couple of questions here. So if you would answer these, which of these is the biggest issue to your organization today? If you're dealing with software companies, consolidation, lack of direction, modernization, or maybe all of the above. Okay. And then we'll just have one more question after that before we move on. So we're trying to find out, what's critical to you. I'd like to present information that's that's viable. Okay. All right. So it looks like we have 50% modernization, 40% all of the above, and 10% consolidation of the companies. Okay, very good. All right, next question that we have is related to the things that I talked about below that. Which of these is most important to your organization? Is it, total cost of ownership, internal IT control, you were able to maintain the system and do things yourself, ease of modification, or, once again, all of the above? All right, we're almost there. Okay, so what we've got at this point is all of the above is the big winner in that area. Cost of ownership, internal IT control. Yeah, we didn't have a 2 out of 3 there. Sorry about that. But cost of ownership and internal IT control seem to be the most important things. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate your opinions. All right, let's move on. These are some of the customers that have implemented the system or various modules of it over the past, I don't know, say 10 plus years. Okay, and some of these names you'll recognize. Morton Salt or Morton International, the salt producing people, they use the system across the United States and in Canada. Party Lights, the candle party people, they use it in various places in Europe as well as across the United States. Kawasaki uses it in their plants that manufacture jet skis, ATVs, motorcycles, as well as in their engine manufacturing plant. Carlisle is a food service products company. They use all the modules. TP Orthodontics is an orthodontics products manufacturer and supplier, and they use it across countries and in a variety of places. Castrol, lubricants, etc. Alpura is the second largest dairy producer in Mexico. And then we have what used to be IBM Federal Credit Union, which is now Think Credit Union. They just use the financials. So my point to this is to let you know these are companies that you know. Some of them are companies that you know using the system. Some of them use some of the modules integrated to some of their own. Others use all of the modules and have replaced essentially everything they have. But the point here is this is a good general purpose enterprise resource planning system that works for a wide variety of businesses. Okay? And that was all I wanted you to get out of that. Okay. So we feel that LANSA ERP Frameworks will set you free. You can own your own ERP system. The source code is provided. There are no annual maintenance fees for the software or software upgrade fees. It has a Windows or Outlook email type look and feel for a good end user experience, easier training, things like that. Contains the ability to integrate to desktop tools like Excel, Outlook, maybe Word. And it contains an executive dashboard, which we provide as a web module, which includes key performance indicators, which you can then modify, because not everybody chooses the same things. All right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to move into the demonstration portion. I will be getting on our LANSA ERP Framework system on our support system here in the Chicago office. And the goal of this demonstration is to give each of you just an idea of the look and feel, the functionality, the tight integration, and the power of the LANSA ERP Frameworks. Realize upfront that in this short time frame, which will be at most the next 30 minutes, we're barely going to scratch the surface of the functionality of the modules. However, I hope that in what I show, you'll see the power of the modules, the tight integration, and the value added by using the latest LANSA tools. All right, so let me set aside the PowerPoint and go into live system demo. What you're seeing right now is essentially the main menu. If you are authorized to every module in the system, what we have here is a very straightforward tree on the left-hand side. Alphabetically, the modules are listed there. Okay? Accounts payable, accounts receivable, etc. on down the line. The only oddball is favorites, which is at the top, because you can create your own menu of the things you use most often and not have to go into the other trees to drill down and find what you want. If you use 5 things regularly, stick them into favorites. That's one of the pieces of functionality that is available. Simple navigation rules. If you want to go into a module to do something, you hit the plus sign and it opens it up and it shows you what you can do. Some of the modules, like customer orders, they contain sub-groupings within them to make it easier for you to find what you're looking for. If you want to go into maintain some files within orders, you go into maintenance. And you say, oh, I want to maintain my customers. I can go do that. If you actually want to go into order processing, you can go into order processing and do order entry, inquiry, price quotation inquiries, inventory reservations, all kinds of good things. So that's kind of the first navigation piece. The second one is just an overall look and feel and navigation. I'm going to go into some of our cross-application areas just to show you what it looks like. So I say within banks, I have banks and bank accounts. So I say I want to see the bank accounts that are associated with company 01. There's a pull down in here, you select the company, and I say I have various ways of filtering. Okay, a couple of other things you can do. You can move columns around, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the most important ones over here on the left-hand side, and they'll stay that way for my user on my PC. And let's stick currency over there. If I want to look at the details of the operating account, I just double-click on it, and what will happen is it will bring it down into the bottom of my screen in a display mode. And then if I'm authorized, I have the ability to go into change mode, which I will. Okay, and I can come in here and I can, make a change, operating account XXX. And if I click OK, it says down here at the bottom, record successfully updated. And you notice my list is updated. It says operating account XXX. So I can, simply change that and it will change it. If I want to create a new bank account, I can do it via copy. And I right-clicked on that bank account and I said, well, I want to create an operate 2. Operating account number 2. I can OK that. Now I've got operating account number 2. And this navigation and functionality exists across all file maintenance type functions in the system, which of course there are hundreds of those. Okay? So it applies from the perspective of learning the system. Once you learn it in one place, it's going to be the same in all the other places that you have authority to go. So if I right-click and I say, oh, I didn't want that operating 2, I can confirm to delete. It brings it up down here and says, okay, it's pending. And if I click OK, it will now delete it, give me a message that it's successfully deleted. And of course, had this bank account been used in anything based on the rules in the repository, if I tried to delete it and it was existing on something else, it would tell me I couldn't delete it because there was a rule that said I couldn't. Okay? And then to be able to look things up in a filter, we have a variety of ways. I went by company. Let's say by currency. What are all the accounts I have out here that are in Canadian dollars? Okay, these are the ones that are Canadian dollars. What about the ones that are in US dollars? I can bring those up. Okay, so you have a great variety, and you'll see a lot more in files that have a lot more complexity than this. Okay, that's kind of a simple one. But just to show you that it looks and functions the same, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the miscellaneous. Let me go into the states and provinces file. Okay, now let's say show me all the states within the United States. Okay. I'll just stretch those out a bit. And same thing, if I want to maintain, I typed Delaware wrong, I want to maintain it, I double click on it. It'll bring it down here. I can bring it into change mode if I'm authorized to do so, and I can type over anything that I want to. Similarly for any other state, and you'll notice if I right click, I have new, copy, confirm, delete, just like I do in the other ones. So once you learn it one place, you've got it for the rest of the system. Consistency is a good thing. And if you are allowed to add, there will also be a convenient new button in the upper left-hand corner. Okay, so those are simple maintenance navigation things. But let's go back into orders, into the customer order segment for a moment. And let's say, well, let's look at something that's a little more complex. A customer master, in this system, customers are 3 levels. You have a customer master, and within that, you can have potentially multiple build to customers, and you can have multiple ship to customers. So what you'll see that's a little different up here in my list. Okay, let's shift that around just a little bit. Stick that over there. Okay, good. Is I can certainly double click on the customer and it will bring it up in the bottom of the screen just like it does in all the other maintenance functions. Okay, and customer is one of those things where you may want to either maximize or bring the size of the screen up because there's a lot of data on the screen. Okay? And that's another navigation piece that you can do. However, what do I have that's associated to or has a relationship to the customer? Well, I can have build tos. How many build tos do I have? I have 1. Okay? And let's just kind of scroll down here in this just a little bit. How many ship tos do I have for this customer? Oh, I happen to have several. Okay? So let me bring those up here in this little what we call child instance list, if you will. Okay. So I have Nevada Bob's Moline, which is Moline, Illinois, Madison, Wisconsin, etc. And then I can double click on the ship to if I need to look at that or maintain that data, and it will bring it up in the bottom, shifting right from one to the other, okay, for me. And if I'm allowed to change, it can bring it up in change mode, okay. And I can go through and maintain these things. And we've made it simple for the people who like the keyboard as well as the mouse. You can use the tab keys to move from field to field. You can use the enter key instead of the OK. Okay, so hopefully it'll be efficient for people who come from a text background as well as people who come from a Windows background. Integration to other things like web and Windows. This is one that's is good to demo and semi-useful, I suppose. And that is, all I did was I clicked on View Map, and what we do is we pass the address, zip code, and country into Google Maps, and I can get my driving directions to go visit that customer, things like that. So another piece of an example of integration to other tools. Okay, and as I said, you can add things to favorites to create your own menu and not have to know where they are. Other things that you can do, you can hide this tree, and now it's buried up here at the top. Okay, and if you want it back, just click the little icon at the bottom and it comes back. Okay, so you can do lots of things. You can shrink the size of filters and move this bar around, maximize, all kinds of good things, and that is true everywhere in the system. Okay, enough about navigation because we'll touch on that as I go through my demo. So what I'm going to do, for starters, since I can't hear your opinions, I'm going to go through a cycle. One of the more commonly known cycles in business, and that is I'm going to take a customer order. Okay, I'm going to go right into order entry, and I'm going to take it through a simple process. Place the customer order, print a pick slip for it for the warehouse, perform the shipping operation, the billing operation, or invoicing if you will, and then look at it in accounts receivable and just show you that I didn't have to double key anything. I just did my job as one of the people in that process, and it will feed from one module to the other. Okay. All right. Okay, let's branch into there and just do our thing. And what I'm going to do, as I said, is I'm going to go do a new order. So I'm going to hit the new button and say, give me a new order. I'm going to come down here. I have full prompting available within the system. If I don't know my customer, I can press F4 and prompt on it. Okay, I can search by name or part of the name. I get Nevada Bob's. I can get things that have golf, and it looks across the name. It looks pretty much anywhere. Put Bob in there. Oops, not Bob F. That won't work. Okay, so let's take Nevada Bob's. It brings back the customer. I could also prompt on the ship to, because of course I know that Nevada Bob's has multiple ship tos. Which one do I want? Let's do the one in Fort Wayne. Okay, and then I'll put in the customer's PO number, NB-001. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and create that order, NB-001. My internal order number is 1552. It's already done that, created the defaults for me. At this point, to keep it very simple, I can enter an item number and a quantity and hit OK, and it brings it up. It's got pricing in the system. It tells me what plant it's supposed to ship out, and it tells me it reserved inventory. Excellent. I didn't have to do a heck of a lot. I put in the next item and quantity, and it takes that one, tells me what's reserved, etc. If I have nothing else to do, like no complex notes, no other weird things or charges to add, I hit the complete button, and what you'll notice on this screen, of course, is it gives me the order total, tells me if there's any taxes. So this is the product total, no charges or discounts, $591 in taxes. Their payment terms are net 60. I say good, let's accept the order, and we're on our way. So we've just created order 1552, and it's it's basically at an open status at this point. Okay. All right. So the next step in the process, keeping it simple and just going on to what then would happen in the warehouse, I'm going to go into shipping transactions, and I'm going to pick slip release. And I'm going to say, show me all of the orders that are ready to be picked for plant 20. Okay, and mine should be right at the bottom. Realize I can also click on a column and sort, and click on it again and sort in descending order. Okay, you can do that on any column that appears in the list. Okay, 1552. I'm I'm going to right click on it and say selected for picking. All important transactions in the system give me a second chance to say, is that what you want to do? Should I generate a pick slip? And I will say yes, I do, and it says pick slip successfully generated. What that will do is it'll change the status of the order, print a document in the warehouse, whatever you have set up to tell someone to go pick that product and bring it over to the shipping department. Okay? And without looking into that document at this point, what we're going to do now is we're going to go into the next step and say, okay, they picked it, brought it over to the shipping department, and now it's ready to ship. So I'm going to go into what's called my bill of lading selection, which is sort of an odd name, I suppose, for that because you don't always need a bill of lading. And I can come in here now and I'm right clicking and say, okay, let's change the date on this because it's going to need some stuff. And that is like maybe the pro number or other shipping information. And seem to have a little network delay there. Let's see. Yeah. All of the benefits of a live demo there. Well, let me see if I can open up another session and see what's going on here. Take a pause here for just a moment. Okay. So, my goal at this point is to ship this order and then run maybe a nightly invoicing process. If that's how you do your business, they can be invoiced immediately, etc. Okay. And I will do it as a one-off. I will say I just want to invoice this order, which of course you will have the capability of doing. All right. Let's see if we're back in business here. Let's go into shipping transactions. Bill of lading. Let's go in here and bring up our list of orders, come down to the bottom, order 1552, and say let's change this one. Okay. And at this point now, I have the ability to put in maybe my shipment tracking number, TRACK001, my gross weight, net weight, number of packages, and maybe a freight charge of something there. I enter that data. And by the way, the way error handling happens in the system, in case I do this, let's suppose I want to change the carrier to Bob. Okay, and it tells me, it highlights the error in this lovely pink color. And down at the bottom it says, cannot edit or change, that carrier does not exist. So that's how errors are handled in the system, just as a note. So now I've put the data in, and this can be integrated, of course, to like a UPS shipping system, FedEx, or one of those types of things. And I said, let's go ahead and process that one. Okay? Essentially what I just said is ship that order, and maybe print out a packing list and a bill of lading, depending on the mode of transportation. All right. And just to prove that that worked, let's go into the invoicing function. Normally you wouldn't have to do this for every order. You certainly could, I guess is the point. Okay? But, a lot of companies will run invoicing on a nightly basis, and that's perfectly fine as well. So I'm going to drill down and say, look, there's my order 1552. Right-click on it just like I do in other places and say, what do? I want to do an order invoice. Basically, I just want to invoice this order. I don't want to invoice everything else that's ready. And it'll, as it always does, it'll give me a confirmation screen that says, do you want to do that? I say, yep, let's go ahead and do that, and let's do it online because I want the answer to be in. Tells me the invoice successfully posted. It dropped it out of the list up there. So far, all is well. What's the next step? It should now be in accounts receivable, right? Because this is an integrated system. I don't need to do anything else. It's there, or it should be there. Okay, and I didn't go look up my invoice number, but we'll just kind of scroll down and get the, should be the highest invoice number that we have out here. And it should be right there. So I'll double click on that invoice. One of my goals here also is to show you the drill down capabilities in the system. Getting the information into any system is important. Having the ability to look up the information and get it out is equally important. So here's the invoice, $124.11. You notice the multi currencies here. It happens to be US on both sides, and you notice on the other extreme, or on the other screen here, there's a customer PO, NB001, which you have the ability to look things up by that, because that's important as well. Let's do a billing inquiry and say, where the heck did this invoice come from? Well, it came from customer order 1552. I can see that right here. Okay? I can go look at the items that shipped on this order without having to go back into order entry. Okay? And I say, well, one of this item at $52.20, and line number 2 was $66 for that item. Okay? So lots of good capability there. All right, and hopefully you just saw some power and some integration as I flowed from one to the other, taking an order from start to finish. Order entry, picking, shipping, invoicing, accounts receivable. And of course, I don't need to go there at this point, but as soon as it posted to accounts receivable, it also posted to general ledger, which of course is the end result. You need to show your financials and say, how are we doing? All right. So, at this point, I'm going to pause for a moment. Let's open up a poll. I just have 2 simple questions for you. Okay? You should be seeing the one right now. In which of these areas that we talked about would your company benefit most from improved systems at this point in time? The financials or accounting modules? The distribution modules? Manufacturing modules? Or potentially all of the above? If you could enter your answers now, that would be great. We're always interested in finding out what's important to our customers, potential customers, partners, etc. Okay, so we got all of the above for 40% and a little bit of a spread across the other ones. Okay, financials, manufacturing. Okay, very good. One more important question for you before we move on. As I said, we always like to get your opinions and find out what is important to you. So, of these classic 70s television sitcoms, which one is the funniest in your opinion? I know this is important, so make sure you enter your answers, and then we'll move on with the demo. Looks like we're just about there. A few stragglers left. Don't forget, this is important. All right. Oh, looks like the winner is Gilligan's Island. Okay, well that matches with mine, so that's good. All right, I appreciate your input on that one. Just trying to make sure you're awake as we move on. Just a little bit left in here. One of the things I showed in the first pass was the integration and as well the efficiency. If you had a simple order to enter, how would that work? But let's talk about the other side of things. Not everybody has it that simple where you just enter an item and a product, item and a quantity, and you move on with the order. A lot of companies have other situations where it's more complex. Let's suppose you had a customer that they repeat order. They order the same things over and over again. You can make it much more efficient for your order entry people to be able to enter that. Okay, and realize, of course, there are hooks for EDI and other electronic means, as well as web entry of orders. Okay, let's see. So let's make this actually NB-002. All right. What you'll see on this one is that this customer has what we call a usual items list, or a custom catalog, is what we call it on the web, because it sounds more fancy that way. And basically, what happens here is anything you put a quantity in will create an order line. So I can come in here without having to know the items. And I can say, oh, I want one of those, 2 of those, etc. So I've got quantities in 4 of these items. When I press OK, it's going to add 4 items to the order without me having to key in the item or the quantity. And there they are. They're on the order. They're priced. It's checked inventory reservation for me and everything. And now I can enter another item if I want to. So let's suppose you offer a customized golf plaque. Okay. Somebody wants to order that. This is a configurable item, if you will. Okay? It says, well, what color do you want it in? It comes in different colors, and we don't have a different item for each one. We'll say, well, I want it in cherry. Yeah, that's the expensive color. That's going to add $4 to the price. That's why we want it, because it looks good on the wall of the den. And what's the award? Oh, hole in one. It was a good day. And what's the golfer name? Bob Gleisner. And that'll be the day. And The outing name would be the LANSA annual golf outing. How's that? And we don't have one, but that would be fun. What was the outing date? June 15th, 2008. I'll dream in advance. And any extra notes, whatever you want to put in there. It's not a required field. And what this will tell me now that I've entered my configuration or my features and options is it says, okay, the base price of this is $60 and the total price based on the configuration you've chosen is $64. Now none of these other things added to the price, but the cherry finish did. Okay, so now I will add that item to the order. Okay, all right, and you can do lots of other things. You can certainly add notes. One of the big things you can do if you decide you want to set this order aside because you're not quite done with it yet, you can suspend it. Okay, I'll suspend that order, order 1553. And now if I want to, just to show you I can change, I can certainly go in, double click on that order and bring it up. And what you'll see now are all of the possibilities that have to do with changing the order header. Oh, if the customer PO was wrong, I can come down here and change it. It should have been NB002A. So I changed that. And maybe, I want to add something else here. I want to say, what was the order reference? Maybe there's another number I want to track this by. Bob G 111. And who was the buyer? Okay. Sales agent, other things like that. I can change that. I want to add charges to this order maybe. I want to add not a freight charge, but let's say I want to add some other charge. What do I have available? Well, let's see. We have a small order charge, a broken case charge. So let's add a small order charge for $10. This is going to cost us extra. And let's see. Let's add a broken case charge for $10 as well. And when I return, I get a recap of my charges. No freight has been entered yet. Okay. And I can override the ship to. I can do any number of things. Okay. And then if I want to maintain something having to do with this item, for instance, I can come down here and do that. I can change, I don't want one of those, I actually wanted two of those. Okay, great. I can change that. If I want to change the additional details, that $4 for the cherry finish is really just too much. I want to go down and reduce the price just a little bit. Let's take the light oak one instead. And essentially that will bring the price down to $62.50 as you see there. Okay. The goal here is just to show you the power of the order processing module. Okay. You can look at inventory right from inside here as well and say, do I have this thing available? I have 10 available in plant 1. I don't have any in plant 10, 20 available in plant 20, etc. All right? Okay, so anyway. And then once I've made my changes, I can finally complete the order. And in this case, I actually want to accept it and not suspend it. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, that. And that will submit that order for acceptance. All right. So we've gone through order entry, we've gone through picking, we've looked at some of those capabilities, gone through shipping and billing, accounts receivable. Oh, one more thing in there, just to show a little bit of integration to other tools, if you will. I can go in and let's say I want to look at my customer account 015, Nevada Bob's. If I double click on this, I'm now in my aging inquiry. So I can see all of the invoices and whether they fall into buckets that I've set up in the system, current, 30 days, 60 days, 120, 180, etc. And I can certainly scroll through those things. What you'll see is the newer ones are at the bottom and they fall into their appropriate columns. The totals are down here, and I can even show a graph. I like the bar one a little bit better. It's like, well, this customer doesn't pay really well as far as on time goes. Okay, but that's a nice visual if you're collecting on a customer. Let's take somebody who might have a little bit better record, Tiger Woods. I think he pays a little bit better. Let's look at his and see. It's a little bit better. Okay, a little more current, not quite as old. But that's just integration to a simple weblet to build a graph. Okay, and we even have one to show the company totals in a graphical fashion as well. As a company, we're not collecting very well either. But this is my golf club's company. Okay. All right, and then finally, what's the end result of the system? The end result is you get into the general ledger. Everything posts to your financials. That's why you're in business. So we have things like the master chart of accounts. We can call up our accounts, and we have a 15-position account number that can be split into up to 5 parts, separated by dashes, slashes, whatever you want. Okay, and you can have assets, liabilities, incomes, expenses. expenses, active accounts, summary accounts, detail accounts, etc. And much like any other maintenance function, you double click on the account and it will bring it up in the bottom for you to see what all of the details about that account. And if you're allowed to change, you can go into change mode. Okay, this is an asset type account. It is active, and 13010 summarizes into account 130, which we saw up there anyway. And then since it is a multi-company system, after you create your chart of accounts, what we do is we allow you to then link those accounts to a company profit center and cost center, which essentially gives you a 4 or 5 level, or 4 or more level, I guess I should say, accounting structure, because you have company, profit center, cost center, and then account, and account can be split up into 4 parts. All right? And so don't think of these necessarily as profit center and cost center. They could be region, sub-region, division, department, whatever you want to use them for. We just happen to call them profit center and cost center. Okay? And once again, the goal of any system is so that you can gather and look at your information in order to make good decisions. So I'm just inquiring into a general ledger account. And what I can do then is I can call it up, and it's going to show me my 12 months of activity. Okay, and actually this is, let me just switch the year to 2007. I have more activity back there. And I can go and drill down into my details and say, show me everything that made up that balance. And there's a source code that tells you where it came from. API, accounts payable invoice. You'll see things like APP, accounts payable payments, APV, accounts payable voids, APM, manual payments, etc. And even further to that, I can drill down right into the source and say, this came from accounts payable, literally, show me the invoice, right from in here. Nope, I seem to have chosen something bad there. Let's see here, let me try that one more time. All right. Okay, so there's the accounts payable invoice, and I can look at the overrides on it, I can look at any data, whatever data is there. That one even had an exchange rate on it, I realized. That was a multi-currency sort of invoice. Okay, other things you can do, you notice there's an Excel button here. If you want to analyze the journal entries and say, put them into Excel so I can sort them and do whatever with them, you hit the Excel button, and it will export that data into Excel in a nice format for you. Now those were just the accounts that I had for a particular month that didn't have a great deal of activity. But what I can do is I can go into the detail inquiry for the entire year and say load that to Excel. It might take a second or two longer, but I don't think it's huge as far as the activity goes. And it will load it to Excel for you to do whatever you want with that. Okay? And there it is. And we've even thrown some macros in that'll makes a nice heading out of it and a title, tell you where it came from. And we chose to put the negatives in red, or the credits in red, and the debits in black. You can choose the formatting yourself. Obviously it's Excel, so you can do whatever you want with it. All right. Now, you won't see that button every place in the system, but it can exist every place in the system. What we do is we have a callable function to allow you to put that any place that you have a list and you want it to go to Excel. And then finally, we give you some tools to say, well, 22010 is my accounts payable trade. How does that fit into the structure of things? Well, 22010 rolls up into accounts payable 220, which rolls up into current liabilities 210, which rolls up into 200 total liabilities and capital. You can do a lot in the general ledger if you use summary accounts because you can inquire into them online. You can use them for reporting, you name it. Lots of good things there. All right. Finally, you thought general ledger was the end? Well, we've taken it one step further, just so I can talk more. Okay, we have an executive dashboard. What's the goal here? This is a web-based tool. We have it linked into our Windows framework at the moment, okay, which is nice for you. And what it's going to do is we have created, just as a basis of things that are kind of representative of what a CEO, Vice President of Sales, CFO might want to see. So if I collapse these, you'll see all of the key performance indicators we've put on here. We have sales actual versus quota for 2008. Sales 2007 versus 2008 by month. Product family sales. Sales to quota for the month, and you can change that to year to date. Top 10 customers by revenue, by margin. Top 10 items. Sales reps, suppliers, etc. And then if you want to, Well, you can expand those, of course, and then just look into each one of them and see, and even if you wanted to drill down into the data, you can say, well, okay, I can hover over this column and it tells me what that is. I've got accessories and clubs. Accessories, I've sold 36.4 for the month of February, and clubs, I've sold 360,009 for the month of February. If I want to see the actual data, I can hit this little, actually I can drill down in this particular case. This is a little different one. I can literally drill down into the function itself and see what makes that up. And now it'll separate that out into drivers, irons, putters, and woods. And if I want to actually drill into one of those, I can do that. And it'll show me that split. Okay? And it'll say, well, which actual items made up those sales? Okay? And in other cases, if I want to see what makes up the data in a bar of a graph, a simple graph, I can hit this little button over here that says Show the Data Grid, and now I can actually see the figures that make up those things. So if I had a quota in here, which I don't for 2008, January I've made this much in sales, and February this much, to a quota of 0 for the moment. And you notice that figure matches with this figure because this is the month-to-date sales figure on the right-hand side. Okay. The beauty of this thing is it's written using web access modules and standard Microsoft pieces, within LANSA. And what you can do as the CEO, you say, well, I don't want to see sales actual versus quota at the top. I want to do something else. You can collapse these, hit the change layout button, and you can say, well, I want to see sales 2007 versus 2008 at the top. Okay, so you drag this one down into here, and it will move it around. And what do I want to see? I want to see the top 10 items, up here at the top. Then when I expand, guess what? That's what's at the top. Okay, so you can do that for yourself. And then the next time you come in, it will be that way just for you. We like that personal touch. Okay, I've talked a lot, I've shown a lot, and as I stated, we can't touch all of the functionality of the ERP Frameworks modules in such a short time frame. Because we're talking about all of these modules here, that we talked about before, and we've barely scratched the surface of them, but hopefully I've achieved my goal, and that is, give you an idea of the look and feel, the functionality, the tight integration between them, and the power of the modules. I didn't even touch on the fact, by the way, there are standard reports available in every module, plus, with LANSA Client, you can get any report out that you want, and in the general ledger segment, there is a fully functional, fully flexible financial information report generator, which you can pretty much do anything you want. In other words, you could make a balance sheet that doesn't balance, or a profit and loss statement, or departmental expense, or anything like that. This is it's a highly functional, well-proven, flexible set of modules that can help you manage your business. And we're constantly utilizing the latest tools, as well as feedback from our customers and partners to make improvements, which might be of value to your business. Okay. Now, one other thing that's very important before I forget is a system will not make you successful. You need a good system to do the job. However, you need a good methodology in order to be able to implement that system. And I feel that's what our professional services department has to offer to you. This one slide is a high-level path to success, as I call it. We can work with you to help you define and publish your business goals. And then as you build a project team, it's important for everyone on that team to know what it is you're trying to accomplish. What are the goals? Then, as you start into a project, what we would suggest is doing a fit analysis. Where one of our professional services people works with people in each of the departments that will be affected to essentially do a project scope. Analyze and define the critical business procedures. Out of that, get some estimates of time and effort because there may be gaps. And from that, build an initial project plan, which tells you, what is the scope of this project? How much will it cost? How much time will it take? And believe me, you shouldn't go into any project like this without knowing that. Okay? What we're going to do now is we're going to open the meeting up for questions. Okay, and this is very simple in GoToMeeting. You simply enter your question in the question and answer section. If that's not open, just hit the little arrow next to it on your screen. And down at the bottom it will say enter a question for the staff. And you can just type your question in there, and we here will be able to see it and hopefully provide you with an answer. Okay, I see we've got a question or two already. You mentioned EDI hooks. Can you please describe this further? Is there an EDI package available for this ERP? Okay, EDI hooks. Well, of course, the things like order entry and purchasing and invoicing and all of those things have the ability to take orders in via EDI, send orders out via EDI, invoices out, invoices in, all those sorts of things. Those pieces exist. They can be used with an EDI tool that you have already if you choose to continue to use that tool. Okay? And all you have to do is do the mapping to the file and call the function to post. Okay? And to answer the second question, is there an EDI package available for this ERP? Yes, of course. LANSA has a product called EDI Direct, which has been out for a couple of years now. It's had very successful implementations, and we are using it some of the current ERP clients as well. And so EDI Direct is a separate piece that is available through LANSA, and it once again costs much less than many of the EDI tools that are out there. But you have both pieces there. You have the ability to use your current EDI tool if you need to. Is the software sold by module or functional area? Yes. Okay. You can, if you just need a module of the system to integrate with, an area of your business where you're having trouble. Let's suppose you say, I just need a good inventory module as the base for something. Now, inventory, of course, is the heart of a lot of things. There would be some integration pieces. You can purchase a particular module. We have a couple of clients that do purchase kind of a module at a time. Okay, and the software is designed to allow you to be able to do that. Okay. And additionally, if you say, I just need some new financials to go with the systems I have in place, then we can sell you the financials modules as a group. And generally speaking, yes, there's a better deal if you buy them as a group, if you buy all of the financials or all of the distribution or all of manufacturing, as opposed to saying, well, I just need this one and this one. Okay, we'll certainly do it any way that you wish. And if we feel there are any issues, like you want to take inventory as a module on its own, that would be fine, but of course, we would want to work with you to say, what will the integration be to your other very important systems? Because inventory drives a lot of things, from the financial as well as the customer satisfaction and manufacturing perspective. Okay? Okay, there's a company that's on an older version of BPIX. What is the typical implementation time? Wow, there's a loaded question for you. Okay. Typical implementation time. I'm not sure there is such a thing. We've implemented financial modules for a company in as little as probably 40 days from the time they signed the contract to do it. Okay. Now, recently, as a matter of fact, within the last few months, we implemented a company that was essentially, they purchased all of the modules, and they were implementing all of the modules, replacing essentially everything they used to run their business. And from the time we started the project, it was just over 9 months. And we actually brought them live January 2nd of this year. Okay? Now, for a full system implementation where you're literally replacing everything on your old business systems, it generally does take a little longer than that. It's usually closer to a year, and some have gone longer. But that was pretty good. That's a good team effort. All right, what is the underlying database the system is using? It is the standard iSeries database. The version that I'm showing right now is the very efficient, very powerful standard iSeries database, so there would be no change for that. Okay. Interfacing, do we interface with Optimum Payroll? I would say yes. Have I done it personally? No, I have not. We do regularly interface with the modules that we don't provide, and that would be payroll and fixed assets. Those are two of the ones that people ask about. And the government regulations change so much that we just don't offer payroll because we don't have a specialization group in payroll or fixed assets. We interface very well with other payroll systems. I haven't done Optimum, but I'm sure it wouldn't be that difficult, and other fixed asset systems as well, because most of those do have APIs to be able to come in and out as appropriate. Oh, hey, we've got an answer from somebody. It will work with Optimum. We've done it. That's a good answer. So one of our customers has already done that. Okay. Okay, this is being recorded, and it will be available within the next few weeks. Okay, and what you can do is you can send an email to inquiries@lansa.com if you're interested in having the recording, so you can use it to look at again or sell internally or whatever you need without having my fine shining face appear on your door. It can just appear on your screen, so that will be there. All right, well, I do appreciate your attention as well as your questions. One thing I don't want to forget to mention here is, for partners and customers, the LANSA International User Conference is coming up in lovely Orlando, Florida on May 4th through 7th. There are great things presented there, and if you come, I can certainly meet you and talk with you as well, because I'll be there presenting a few things. What you can do to get information and sign up for it, you go to events.lansa.com, find out more, and you can get registered in that way as well. Okay, we definitely look forward to seeing you there. It's always a good thing from the information perspective as well as the social perspective. We got to keep things light. So once again, thank you for attending, and don't forget, as soon as we close the meeting on our end, you will get a set of survey questions. I think there's 5 or 6 questions. They're all multiple choice. If you answer the survey questions, your name will be entered into our end of the month drawing for that lovely bag of LANSA goodies. If you'd like further information about the LANSA ERP frameworks or anything we've talked about here, send an email to inquiries@lansa.com, or if you want to schedule a free consultation, you can contact me, Bob Gleisner. My email's there, bobg@lansa.com. My phone number is there. Or Greg Best is our Vice President of Sales, gregb@lansa.com. We look forward to hearing from you and seeing if we can help you with any of your business challenges. I do appreciate your time, and I hope everyone has a good day.
Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, that does conclude the conference call for today. We thank you for your participation. I ask you please disconnect your lines, and have a great day, everyone.